It's AJ.
And Darah. Here we are, deep skydiving.
Skeep diving. Yeah.
Deep skydiving, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Deep Sky.
Oh, she got it. Go ahead.
I don't know. That's
Go ahead,
not
do
really.
it again. I missed it.
I don't have much more than that.
Oh, all right.
So, deep skydiving.
Deep skydiving. Let's look to the King. We're here another day.
Yes, thank you, Father.
Father, we just thank you. We glorify you. We lift you up. You know, we keep you at the center of our life, Father. So we just want to thank you just for being an awesome Father, a great King, a holy God, Father, just for being who you are in our lives, you bringing us to this day, affording us a new day, Father, a new 24 hours, and let us not take it in vain. But we ask you for any and everything in our life where we have missed the mark, that you forgive us, Father, and then you guide us in the ways of truth and righteousness for your name's sake, for your kingdom's sake, for love's sake, and just for relationship's sake, Father. I thank you for the relationship that we have, and I thank you that you've brought us together to even do something like this, to promote even more healthy relationships between man and between women, Father. So have your way at this time. You know, let this be best podcast yet, best episode yet, and let us have impact, Father, and let us be effective in the things that which you entrusted us with. And that's our perspectives, our understanding, our wisdom, and even our experiences. I pray that the listeners, Father, will be blessed by it, and that they'll be better by it. And it's in your precious Son, Yahushua name, I ask you all these things, Father. Amen.
Amen.
And amen.
Welcome to Deep Skydiving. I started to give a little echo. Deep.
I ain't hear that part.
I was putting it
hot.
I am Darah.
And it's AJ, still.
Welcome back.
Still.
Welcome back. So, AJ, how was your weekend? You did something spectacular this weekend. Share with the people.
I slept for almost 8 hours.
What?
Yes, yesterday.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
That never happens for you.
It never happens for me. So refreshed.
So, how did that make you feel?
I felt good.
Good.
I was like, damn. I slept this long. I didn't know I needed it. But now I went to the 360 Man, ET's 360 Man event Saturday, and it was a blessing. Eric Thomas.
Okay.
It's only one ET, so they know we're not talking about the alien, the extraterrestrial. So it was definitely a blessing, man. It was good to see so many men in one spot who just wants better, who wants to be whole men. You know, and I feel like that's what this society needs.
Absolutely.
So it was definitely a blessing being there.
You make any connections, your network or anything?
No. I did meet some people, but I didn't network.
Okay.
Like, we're in the future. I mean, I don't know how God's going to work, but I didn't like exchange numbers.
Got you.
With people and everything, so.
Any gems you want to drop on, like, some men that are listening to this who just didn't have the opportunity?
Nope. The gems will come through the episodes. There's gems in every episode.
Okay.
So,
Right.
there's things I want to apply in my life before I just give it to somebody else. You know, when you actually know that you know something, and you know it's things that you actually apply to your life, that's when your words actually have power. So I don't want to be giving people some stuff that, you know, I haven't even been applying. So
sounds good. So last episode was about love being enough. Did you have anything you wanted to like wrap?
Nah, because I think this episode coincides with it. Yeah. So
this episode's topic is self-love. Can it be toxic?
Can it be toxic? So it's kind of like will be too. So it'll be about self-love and can it be toxic? Because I feel like we have to go into self-love.
Kind of have to talk about both.
Yeah. So.
All right. I guess I can start off with a definition. It's always good to have a solid beginning point. A reference point. So
it might mess up all of my notes, but go ahead. I don't care.
I doubt it. So there are two definitions, and I did this on purpose because I wanted to have something, you know, general, and then I want to have something that was like a little bit controversial.
So is it something that you came up with, or both of those definitions?
Both of these are
you
from
found
online.
All right, cool.
Yes, and I'll give the sources too. I'll cite the sources. So the first definition was self-love is a state of appreciation for oneself that grows from actions that support one's physical, psychological, and spiritual growth. That came from Psychology Today. Then there is self-loved. Self-love, defined as love of self or regard for one's own happiness or advantage, has been conceptualized both as a basic human necessity and a moral flaw akin to vanity and selfishness, synonymous with, I think it's amor propre, conceitedness, egotism, narcissism, etc. So that was from Wikipedia.
Well, there's the answer. Podcast over. Could it be? There's the answer right there.
But Wikipedia, anybody can go in there. Just kind of
so
like,
that was a Wikipedia definition.
Yeah, but I liked it because I feel like that's kind of gives
it helps
both.
Us.
Yeah, it helps us with both sides. So, what is your take on self-love?
Self-love. I don't know. I feel like it's different for everybody. So how it looks can be different to everybody. My take on it is, as long as it's healthy, cool.
So what's like unhealthy self-love?
Unhealthy self. All right. So I don't know. I think we just have to dive into it. So for me, unhealthy self-love, if this will make sense to somebody, right? I hold myself accountable more than anybody else holds me accountable. And it's because I want to see myself do better. But like, I'm a tough love type of person, especially when it comes to men. And so I'm harder on myself than I am any man.
Right.
Like, you can't be harder on me than I am on myself.
Okay.
And so I see that as a form of self-love, but I beat myself down at times too, which is not healthy. I'm like, come on, man, you know better than this, man. You a goddamn dumb, you doing something like this. Like, what do you...
So you kind of like toe the line?
Yeah. Whereas I can take it. But I ain't gonna lie. Sometimes it does get me down. Like, man, how could you be so freaking stupid? Like, nigga, you dumb. Like, what are you even doing?
Yeah.
And it'll have me in the slump sometimes. So it's holding myself accountable, but it's not encouraging. It's kind of holding me. I don't want to say holding me back, but it's kind of like beating me down more than it is actually lifting me up or encouraging me. But I feel like sometimes that's what I need, but it could also be unhealthy.
Yeah, and I think that's cool that's important because what I heard you say was basically that you are just as tough on yourself as you are with other people.
More.
And I know, you're more tough on yourself, but I know that the way in which you show love to other people more than likely is the way in which you show yourself love. Because that's what you know. This is for most people. And so a lot of times when somebody is not loving you or somebody doesn't understand how to love you, 9 times out of 10, and this is not, obviously universally so, but they don't really have a grasp on how to love themselves. So the way you said, like, you go hard at yourself, you may also go very hard at other people. And it's not to say that it doesn't work. It's just that you're basically reflecting in your relationships how you are with yourself. And I do the same thing. I'm
tactful with how I love other people, though. Like, I'm conscious of that.
But that's something that you had to learn.
Yeah. I used to just be hard on everybody, but because I know some men just can't. Regardless that they're men, they can't deal how I deal. Like, because some men just grew up had it hard all their life, like was told hard, like, and they don't respond to it well. And so really, like, the way I hold men accountable, I try to figure out what type of dude this is first. Like, how does he need to be spoken to? How does he need to be taught? And then I love on him accordingly. And so I know not all men could take what I give myself. Like, a lot of people, I ain't gonna say some, a lot of people would take offense if I talk to them the way I talk to myself.
I think it's the same way for me.
Man.
Because I definitely had, just in being friends with people, like, people tell me, sometimes I just don't even really need your opinion. Like, sometimes I just want to say what I have to say, and that be that. But I also realize that there's a fine line between that and them not wanting to be held accountable too. But I think for me and for you, like, what I'm hearing you say is just that, like, there's a calibration that has to happen when you go to the outside world. But a part of me wants to ask the question of, or beg the question of, is it a level of tactfulness that you have to have, or is it that people are just becoming softer, or people want it the way that they want it, like they want things to be cookie cutter, or I guess catered to what they need instead of the accountability portion. Because a lot of people
So
say, who are you to hold somebody else accountable? But it's like, I'm a child of God just like you are, so you will hold me accountable
hold up,
too.
they might not be a child of God.
I knew that you were going to say that, but let's just assume for the sake of us continuing
Oh,
on,
well
because
then.
obviously I'm not. My thing is, like, even if you're not a child of God, you are a human being, right? So
Yeah.
I'm not going to, like, for me, I'm not going to come at you in a way, where it would be like, just for the sake of tearing you down. But I know that is the case for some people, right? Some
Yeah.
people do just want to tear somebody else down. So what do
So
you think?
they could never say that about me, because I'm never tearing anybody down. I might point out it's the same thing we do here. Like we highlight the things, the differences between man and woman, and where we might butt heads at. But we also come with solutions. We come with how can we do better in this area. And so when I'm dealing with men, I'm doing the same thing. Like, if you wrong, I'm going to highlight that you're wrong in this, and I'm going to show you the flaws in your character in this, but I'm also showing you, like, there is better. Like, this is how you can be better, and I'm putting myself out there because I made similar mistakes and everything, so I'm not putting out there, like, I'm better than you or anything.
Right.
But, like, but people, so even when I use tact, like, I use tact because you should. Like, even Yahushua showed us these things, like, whether the generation is getting softer or not, like, you still have to be able to speak to them in a way that they'll receive it. Like, it's not my fault that the generation is getting softer. Like, I realized that. I could see that. Like, men are getting softer. They are getting more emotional. They're starting to identify, whether they identify with the woman or not, like, their traits, their ways are starting to look more like the ways of our softer counterparts than it is looking like men. And so you still have to kind of tactfully deal with that in order to build them back up to being, a whole man, to being a manly man, a man that somebody like yourself would feel secure with. Like, I'm pretty sure you're not going to feel secure with a feminine man.
So I'm just making sure that I understand you. You're saying basically that you have to meet people where they're at.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Agreed. I mean, it's just like the language barriers. Like, you're not going to be able to hear anything I'm saying if I'm speaking Chinese and you're Russian.
Right.
And you don't know how to speak Chinese. But
Right.
if I really want to communicate something with you, then I'll learn at least, some Chinese words.
And some people give off the facade, like they give off that image that they big bad and they tough. But when you really sit down and talk to them, you see that, oh, yeah, like, nah, you not what you thought you was. And, man, I've had plenty of instances like that. But even when you use tact, so people that know me, like, I don't even have to come off aggressive. They still take it like that, though. But it's not that they're taking it as if I'm being aggressive. They're taking it as, I said this before, like, when a man stands before a greater man, not saying that this man is better than him, but this man may be more mature than him in certain areas and everything. When a man stands in front of a man, it's like you looking in a mirror and you see this man and you see how you measure up to this man. And so when I'm talking to people about certain things, when I'm talking to men about certain things, they realize, and I'm not even saying like I'm the most mature man. That's not what I'm saying and everything, right? But I do work on myself often. I do go to God with a lot of things, and God raises me up how he see fit. But when I'm talking to men and they really see, they hear the authority without me having to like base on them or something and everything, and they kind of shrink back. But it's not shrinking back like in a resistance way. It's a shrinking back like in a humbling themselves and knowing like, damn, he right. Like, and they, for instance, right, something happened with my brother. It was a little incident, and he knows that he messed up, and he thinks he knows how I'm gonna respond to him. But I know I can't respond. I can't beat up on my brother. Like, I just gotta love him through and through, right? And he came to me with something. He was like, man, this happened such. I'm like, so what made you come back to this? And I said it just like that, like very gracefully. And I'm like, so what made you come back to this, like this situation? Like, why you do that? And he was like, see, I see. That's why I ain't want to tell you. I knew I shouldn't have said nothing to you, whatever this and that. It ain't. It's not because I was beating him up about it, but it's that he understand. I'm not going to come to you with no fugazi baby you type stuff. What I did was challenge him, even just in a gracefully manner. So he knows he was wrong. He know he shouldn't have went back to that situation. He knows he's not going to come to me, and I'm going to give him. I'm gonna give him a pass. He knows that. He knows whenever everybody that knows me, they know when they come to me, I'm always gonna give them the real. They know that, and they know it's always gonna be a challenge. So nobody's coming to me hoping to get a pass. So when he came to me wanting to get checked. Like he came to me wanting that challenge. His response might not have said that, but I know that in his heart that's what he wants. That's why he comes to me with that stuff. But when I challenged him, even gracefully, not aggressively, not beating him down, even when I did it gracefully with tact, it was still like, see, man, that's why, don't even worry about it. I knew I shouldn't have said nothing. He knew he shouldn't have said nothing because he knew the type of challenge that was gonna come with it. But he really deep down inside know what he needs. Like men with pride and bravado, they'll kind of give you pushback on it. But deep down inside, we know what it is we need. We know what it is. We know we need that challenge. We know we need to grow. So it doesn't even matter whether the generation is getting softer or not. Like, when you're wrong. When you're not operating in manhood, and when it's challenged, whether somebody challenges you gracefully or whether they challenge you hard. Like, if you are sensitive in that area, it's always gonna hit hard. It's no way you could say it soft enough, or no way you could deliver something soft enough and then not check him in that moment and he feel it.
So I think it's interesting because what I've noticed that when you first in talking about self-love, like most times when you think about self-love, especially in 2022, especially thinking about this social media age and things like that, self-love is usually like, meditation, relaxation, things like that. But you went straight to the chiseling, the hard stuff. Why do you think that is the case? And then how does that manifest itself in the way that you treat yourself?
Because it's the case because as a man, I feel like we're responsible for society. So in our community, right? And people would challenge this, but the statistics don't lie. So in this country, 1 of every 4 children are raised without a father in the home. In the black community, it's over twice that amount. So, and that's in our community. It's over 50% of black children being raised by single mothers. Not single parents, but single mothers. And so we are raised kind of without that image of our father. Whether he's an effective father or not, we're raised without that image of him. And so when you have a father, like a real man in your life, or even just a father figure, but somebody that's real live in your life, that's active in your life, pouring into you, there is a toughness and just a sense of manhood that you get just because of his presence, that you adapt. And so when you have to chisel at that thing because it's something that a woman can't give you. And I try to tell my mother this, I tell so many women this, right? If you with a man and you feel like he isn't doing what he should be doing as a man, you can't tell that man, like, you need to be trying to do this. You need to be trying to get your credit together. You need to be, you can't do that because it's hard for us to receive that from the person that we're supposed to be pouring into, the person that we're supposed to be protecting and providing for and everything. And it's not saying that you're wrong. It's just because he very well may need to hear every single thing you're saying, but he's going to receive that from a man because that's what he identifies with. So when he looks at you, he's not looking in the mirror. He's looking at somebody that
he feels is lesser than him, or
not lesser, but somebody that he's supposed to be responsible for. That's like my child, not comparing our ladies to our children. I'm just saying, like, it's like a child trying to tell me how I need to parent them or whatever. Because a man should already be whole before he even joins with a woman. A woman shouldn't be telling me how I need to take care of her, or shouldn't be telling me how to be a man, period. A woman was already trying to teach me how to be a man growing up because I was raised by a single and it failed. So what make you think you can do it? A man needs to be challenged by a man. He needs to be able to look in the mirror, and when a man tell him, like, bro, you need to straighten up your credit, man. Like, you think a woman gonna want to be with you? And how you going to provide? You want to live in an apartment? You think she wants to live in an apartment and raise a family all her life? You think you You think these things, you think she feels she's going to trust you to protect her with her emotions and everything, and you always emotional, you always crying and throwing hissy fits and all that. You think she's going to, a man has to be the one that's going to check him with that. So we have to go straight to the whole chiseling of all the mess that's around a man's heart, all the mess that he grown up with. Like that's, it's necessary because you didn't have it growing up, and now you have to chisel at it because it's the hardness that has grown on you. Like you're more what's it called? In your developmental years, your brain stops growing at 25. Mm-hmm. Like you done developed into the person you're going to be at 25. Mm-hmm. So after you're 25 years old, it takes a chiseling to really change your perspective, to change your ways. And it's hard. And it starts with accountability. Like for me, self-love is accountability. Like I have to have solid brothers in my corner to really just hold me accountable. Like, because even though I'm hard on myself, I'm not hard enough on myself. Mm-hmm. Like they not even hard on me. I'm harder on myself than they are. But because it's coming from a greater man than me, how I'm looking at it. And I'm not, like I'm saying, I'm not saying they're superior to me or whatever. No. But just on who I want to be, I see that these men are already that. So I'm not ashamed to say that these are greater men than me. Like when I was in E.T.'s presence, I was like, I'm not ashamed to say like, dude, this dude is a greater man than me. And not just because of his success and everything, but I see how humble he is. Mm-hmm. I see how humble this dude really, he is not ashamed to say about how his wife like be bossing up on him. Mm-hmm. And no, I don't know any men that can say that and still be a man's man. Like it's something completely different. But just his humility and how he handles himself and still is able to keep his composure as a man, still able to lead men. You got men. Whenever you got manly men that can follow you, you know that's a man's man. You know that's a great man. And so when I see that, I'm like, man, this is a greater man than me. I really need to step my game up. This is the level that I want to be on. You need that chiseling. It's going to take a man to really do that chiseling. You never seen a woman like beating down bricks I ain't gonna say you ain't never seen it, but it's not common when you see women breaking down bricks and carving these images and everything. Mm-hmm. Like it's the men that's really doing the heavy work. So it's gonna take a man to really do the heavy work with another man to break him down to help him become the man that he needs to be.
And I think that's powerful what you said. And just going back to what you shared with me when we were off camera about, how God created you all, from the earth, you know what I mean? And you were an image of him.
That's E.T.'s words. I don't want to. Yeah.
Well, those are, yeah. But I think that just to kind of tie that in, then of course it will require another man to do that because you only know the image in which you know what I mean? Like exactly. you guys are, that close to who God is because you were created in his image. Like that's a huge thing, right?
Exactly.
Supreme thing, you know what I mean? And I think that that's the reason why, and this is just me speaking as a woman, the reason why I get so disappointed a lot of times in the posture of men. Because I feel like there are a lot of excuses that are given out. And again, the reason why there are so many excuses, happen to be because nobody wants to be chiseled. Nobody wants to have that sort of like, and it hurts. Like I know, you know what I mean? I haven't lived this life where, nobody has corrected me or anything like that. Like it's been times where, pure tears, right? Yeah. So, and this is me being an emotional woman. Not like a man who, you know what I'm saying, who already think he got it together. Yeah. And another man is telling him that you don't. You know what I mean? Like, so I know that is something that is very, very painful. Mm-hmm. But it's like you guys are built to continue to move forward even still, right? That's the reason why you have that sort of level of strength is because you have to continue to move forward. And going back to even the conversation that we were having in regards to the way that I see you as my friend and how I know that there are people who are going to be picking at you, but the strength of who you are and you being created in God's image, you're supposed to be one of those people who it's an impenetrable sort of thing, whereas the difference between the flesh and the spiritual attacks, right? So people can say what they want to about you. Like even in my lifetime, I know that God has placed in me a level of discernment to be able to know like those things that are not getting through and those things that are able to get through. He knows that the things that are able to get through are the things that I need to focus on.
Yeah.
Everything doesn't get through.
Right.
Right. And even if it's something that I've started, like an insecurity that I've started within myself, and somebody else says something about it and it hits me, like I'm talking about like almost like picking at the root, you know what I mean? Whereas it's a blaring, like it becomes something blaring. I know that God wants me to be able to focus on that.
Yeah.
So just bringing it back to men, I feel like, the reason why ET can be so confident in speaking on his wife and how she tries to boss up is because that's not an insecurity for him.
Right.
See, he's already been chiseled. And not to say that he doesn't have any insecurities, because I think that, we all do, right? Being humans, being flesh and spirit, we all have insecurities, but that's not a problem for him.
Man.
You know what I'm saying?
And I don't want to take his shine from this is completely his story, but it was so powerful because she was with him when he didn't have nothing. He shares like when I was homeless, she put me up in this place. She was the one giving me her allowance money. Her parents giving her money, her mother giving her money, she giving me money so that I could be able to eat and do these things and everything, right? And so he has like his wife, man, loving person. She got heart of gold, give the shirt off her back and everything, but she's stern too. Like she ain't for no games. So she gonna check you just like she gonna check her husband and everything, right? And he shared this. He was like, there was a time where, she talks to him how she talks to him. She don't change in front of people. And so she would talk to him a certain way in front of his boys, and his boys is like, man, your wife talked to you like that and everything. And they got in his head, and so now he like, man, you talking to me like this in front of people, such and such, this and that. And he was like, God had to really check him, like, you saying that because your boy saying that, because you not saying that in private.
Right.
And she could talk to you like you ain't had no problem with her talking to you like that when she was helping you out when you ain't had nowhere to go.
Yes.
You ain't had no problem with her talking to you like that when she said, look, I'm going to college, and if you ain't going, then this ain't gonna work. You ain't had no problem with her talking to you like that when all of it was working in your benefit. The only reason you feel like that now is because you let these knucklehead dudes get in your head about it and everything. And I respect that he was right about it. He was like, so I stopped listening to these dudes.
Yeah.
He's like, because the things that she's saying, it takes a mature man to really receive those things from a woman. Because like I said, we're not built to take that from women. Like we're just not wired to take that. You have to really be in tune with the truth and yourself and God for me to receive that kind of lashing from a woman, to be getting checked by a woman and not have it eat at my pride or something.
And I do feel like it has to do with the source, like altogether too, because you said something very powerful a while ago in regards to like the only reason why you were even able to receive anything from me, Darah, is because of the things that I was able to show you and understanding like this. If I am to say something, if I am to give you a thing, it's not because I want you to do it as Darah.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just going to present this. I'm going to drop it right here and I'm going to walk away because it's just literally a seed. Like I'm not even supposed to, till the like whatever. I'm not supposed to do any of that. I'm literally supposed to put that here. Whatever you do with it, have your way.
That's on you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that may be where he's coming from. It's like he's seen this woman. What's her name? Is her name Dee Dee? He's seen Dee Dee grow. He's seen her look out for him. It's almost like as women, right? And this is just going with like you guys being created in the image of God and then us being created whole from you, right? We have everything that we need. We're giving you or showing you like, look, this is a space, this is a soft space for you to land. This is a place where you know that you're going to be loved and you know that you're going to be supported. And it allows for you then to understand like, okay, you're not coming at me. Like even the way that I present things to you, I notice that if I say it in a certain tone, if I say it in a certain way, you're not going to receive it. You're going to shut it down. Or you might make some, joke about it like, you know what I mean? Like, but it's not going to go anywhere. But I know if I say certain things and I literally like, I let it go, I leave it right there. And then I go about my business. You'll come back to me later like, you know what? You said something the other day, you know what I mean? And I noticed that, what I'm saying, I guess, is that's the reason why he can be like, those are knuckleheads, is because he's already seen the face of God in his wife.
Yeah.
Because we have that too. It's just that we are not created in his image in a sense of, y'all being the first, the first here,
Yeah.
and then we were then created to be the help me. So
And even still, like, right, because it's a fine line of where we're missing it, right? So your woman, you have to know her enough to know that whether she wants the best for you, whether she's saying these things because she believes this is the best for you, or whether she's saying these things because she believes it's the best for her.
right,
And
which
so
is a big difference.
it's a big difference. So like you'll have a woman that wants you to get your financial situation straight because she knows that she's going to benefit from it, and you got some people that just want to see you be better, period.
Yes.
Like, I know that you're a better man than this, and this is why I'm telling you that. Now, even though it might eat at your pride, because I had to do this with my brothers. When I went through my whole dark season, like, God had to check me, and he was like, man, these dudes love you. Like, you might not appreciate what they did, you might not like what they did, but they did this with good intentions. Whether it was the right or wrong thing, they did it with good intentions for your betterment. And like, they don't benefit nothing from what they was doing. They was doing this for you.
Do you ever think about, and mind you, people usually do it for beautification purposes, but you ever think about how the bush really feels when you prune it? You're literally cutting off its limbs. Nobody thinks about it though. But if we were to apply that, right, you prune for growth.
Yeah.
But you're literally cutting off, and sometimes you're going a little bit too far. We're not thinking about, okay, well, only half an inch. Like we literally are just pruning those bushes. You know what I mean? And it's for the bush to grow.
Yeah.
It's for there to be, some sort of growth and flourishing of that bush.
Yeah.
But that's the same thing for a human being. Exactly. So what your brothers did was they were just literally just chopping. I mean, you probably felt like they literally took off your arms and your legs.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have anything to stand on. You didn't have anything that you could have grabbed, right? But at the end of the day, you were able to see that coming from that, you grew. Like, you probably stood, so much taller. You probably felt, and not because of them, right? Like, you're not going to, give a name to each and one of them, but just going through that season,
going through that process.
Yeah, like, it's not one person who gets credit. Like, when I tell somebody something, I'm not looking for you to tell me, Darah, I just want to thank you for, being this, and that. Like, I don't even know how to receive that type of stuff.
Yeah.
You can ask anybody, like, those type of compliments and people telling me, I'd be like, nah, like, I ain't do that. That's God. Like, don't give me that because that's not for me. But if I do tell you something, like, it literally is coming from me just trying to help you to grow in any way that I can. And I know that that's exactly what you mean when you say those women who want a selfish growth.
Yeah.
But that brings us back to self-love and how it be toxic. Like, it can.
Yeah.
So that the answer to that, like the straight up answer to that, because we're high C's, is yes, it can be toxic.
Yes.
But the only way that self-love can be toxic is if you're doing something for the betterment of, you're doing something for somebody else, or you only do things that benefit you, basically.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that's what self-love is supposed to be, though. Things that benefit
No,
you.
I don't think that it is.
Self-love?
Let's debate.
All right. Yeah, let's do that. But hold up. But before we go into that,
Sure.
What you were saying about the pruning and everything, because I do believe, like, I think that's the most impactful version of self-love for men.
It's pruning.
It is that pruning. Like it says, like, God is in the scripture, it says God is a consuming fire. Like, right? And he, like with gold, you have to heat gold up.
Yep.
Right? And to purify, you have to heat it up until all the impurities come to the top, and then you can scoop the impurities out as they're coming to the top. And that's exactly, like, if you truly love yourself and you want to see yourself be better, men, you have to have that accountability, because that accountability is that fire that's bringing them impurity. We don't like it. It hurts because it's bringing a form of us that deep down inside we don't even approve of. So it's bringing that little boy in you up, so that it could be dealt with, so that nonsense, all that mess could be dealt with. But we don't want it to come up because our pride, like, because I'm a man, I don't want this version of me to be seen. But that's what that accountability does. It's not bringing it up to expose you, not to expose you. It's bringing these things up to expose these things, so that they can be dealt with, so you don't have to keep operating in that little boy. But
Very good. But before we do move on, I think it's great that you did pinpoint what that self love looks like for men.
yeah,
But I think it's important that since we're talking about that for
I ain't
men,
even planning on going this deep. I had a whole different type of self
it's
love I
okay.
was
We're
gonna talk
gonna
about,
go
but
where
yeah,
God tells us
come
to
on.
go. So self love for women though, is I think where that softer side is. And I know it's hard for a lot of women to hear that, because it's not like I'm saying like, oh, we need flowers and candy and all that stuff,
Yeah.
or being able to get massages and stuff constantly. But I think one thing that I heard from the young lady, I don't want to promote that, but as far as like the femininity that we have, it's really more so about being able to receive and being able to feel, right? And how there is a blessing in our emotions, because there wouldn't be a reason why God would give us those things if there's not a blessing in it, right? So a lot of times we hear men and some women say like, you too emotional, like get out your feelings. But what people fail to understand is there's God there too, right? There's God in our feelings. We just cannot stand firm in our feelings because feelings are fleeting.
Yeah.
And once we understand that, like once we really understand what feelings are and how we cannot stand firm in those feelings, then we can navigate, what that true self-love is.
Yeah.
So for me, I feel like as women, and still again, like you said about the little boy, it's about that little girl. Like when you're younger, there's a very pure way that you receive a lot of things. See, there's no callous over you when you're a baby girl,
Yeah.
right? And it's not that you have what they say, it's not sugar and spice and everything nice always. Things happen to you when you are a little girl.
Yeah.
But often when our traumas happen, that's where the callus grows, and then we're never able to shed that callus because we're not able to talk about it. And a lot of times what we do is what happens with that callus, guys, and what I'm saying is, I referenced in another episode how when you keep rubbing on something, when you keep going against something, especially your skin, there's a thick layer of skin, and this is something I got from AJ, that forms, and it allows for your skin underneath, because I believe there's 7 or 8 epidermal layers of skin. But what happens is when you grow that callus, there's normal skin that's growing up under it, and that
Just to
callus is
protect
supposed to
it.
shed. That's
Yeah.
supposed to protect. Yeah,
It's
for that
protecting
normal.
it so it'll allow it to grow back.
Yes. But
Yeah.
what's happening is when that little girl is harmed, we stay right up under that callus. We're not allowing, and I know because I am that little girl,
Yeah.
right?
Allowing that callus to shed.
Yes, I've had traumas and things happen where I want to emerge, like I'm almost beating at it, right? I'm beating at that tough skin. But a part of me is like, but it's so warm underneath here, and I don't want nobody to be able to hurt me again. I don't want another
Right.
callus to form. So with that, a lot of our self-love is not necessarily being chiseled, because I do feel like we are created the way that we're supposed to be created, right? They're not saying that women can't learn anything, not at all, not saying that at all. What I'm saying though is that ours has to do with making sure that we have the capacity to feel.
Yeah.
Because things like meditation, things like making sure that you're healthy, things like what are some more self-love things that we hear a lot?
Positive self-talk.
Yeah, affirmations. Thank
Yeah.
you. Those type of things are important to us, but they all require you to have some level of feeling, or to open up those channels so you can be able to feel, which is why I think it's so important. And that's why I asked you off Bucks, like why you started there, because it is a difference between a man and a woman,
Oh, most
and
definitely.
the way in which we, involve ourselves in self-love.
Yeah.
It looks different. So I can't go to you like, AJ, you're not loving on yourself. Have you meditated today? And you're like, my meditation may be good and it can open up your channel. It's not going to do the
Right.
same thing for you that it might do for me.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? So obviously, like you may not go get massages. Like that might be a great thing for you, but
Yeah.
it's not going to do the same thing for you.
It's not going to hit
because
the same. Yeah.
right, because you need another man to hold you accountable, to help you with that sort of self-love, to
Yeah.
even tweak. But I just wanted to make sure that like we touched on that, so as we go into this episode, we just would have that sort of matchup, so we have a reference point.
Yeah.
But we were gonna go to I think I
You
said
want us to
something.
debate something? You
Oh
said
yeah, we were gonna debate because you said self love for you,
it's about self.
right? And I say the goal for self love should always be understanding who you are, so that you can be better for others.
All right.
So debate.
I don't think so. Well, I do. I do believe that you will be better for others when
But
you
you
know how
don't
to
think
love
that's the
yourself.
goal?
I don't think that's the goal though.
Okay.
Yeah,
And I think that that's the goal.
it's a old church saying, old church song. It says, "I'm going to love you so that you can love yourself better." I'm butchering the words, but the gist of it is, I'm gonna love you so that you can love yourself better, so that you can love me better.
Okay.
Because it's because you misery loves company. People that are miserable, like there is an absence of self-love there somewhere. Like just because you can't put everything on a third party. Like I'm miserable because this happened. I'm miserable because of you. I'm miserable because life gave me these situations. Nah, because you can really change your perspective and find things to be thankful for and not be miserable. But you could also be miserable because you don't have love in your life.
That's true.
And so when somebody forgives you, when somebody continuously shows you love and everything, it softens the heart. And it helps you be able to love yourself more. And that way, when you really love yourself, you know, loving somebody else is just a byproduct of it. It's an effect of somebody who really is just true. I think Tabitha is like a perfect example of that. Like she clearly loves herself. Like she named her bush and like she loves herself, and you could see her love for other people. Even when what's the chick name? The tower, skinny chick, big shoulders.
Oh, Wendy Williams.
Even when Wendy Williams spewed that toxicity crap at her, she responded with love. Like she didn't even think when she was speaking about it, she didn't even think to respond negatively. She thought to not respond at all. Like I'm not going to feed into it. But she was like, God was like, no, love on this person. You're only able to do that if you could truly love yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. And maybe it's a part whole situation, because I do feel like everything that you said is valid to what I was saying. Yeah. See, we're put on this earth to be in relationship with other people. Like God literally has us here to relate to one another.
Relationship,
right. So I don't believe that, like, I do believe that, like, you know, we're here to mirror each other. Remember I talk about relationships and mirrors all the time. You show me me, like even in marriage to me is more about that other person showing you who you really are, and vice versa. Because how you gonna act when I do this? How you gonna act when I do that? And it's not because I'm doing it to harm you. This is just who I am. Yeah. But are you gonna be able to love me through that?
Do that, yeah.
You feel me? Like, so I feel like there is like Tabitha is a great example of self-love. I just feel like the whole point of having self-love is, this is just my opinion, is to be able to be in relationship with other people. And the only way that it is toxic is when that is not the case. Because we know.
I'm glad you said that.
Right.
On the comments on one of the videos, right? I think it was the disrespect John. That John say women know they're disrespectful. Some dude said, that's what, man, I just refrain from interacting with people, period.
Okay.
And so I responded with, like, you basically just said you quit on life because we're put here for a relationship.
Yeah. But
right?
Those, again, protest behaviors.
You had some people that disagree, but again, so that shows me that's that toxic self-love you talk about. Like, you love yourself so much that you're willing to just not deal with people, period.
Right.
Like, not saying you don't want to deal with disrespectful people. You just say, I just don't interact with people, period.
Right.
Like, so what do you go live on the island? That's what I told him. I said, so go live on the island where there's nobody else but you, and watch how fast you come running back to civilization.
Or die. Watch how fast you die.
Or that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but our brain is naturally wired to survive.
Yes.
So you're going to go back to civilization before you allow yourself to
and even
suffer
I feel
and
like
die.
there's a study about people who have outlasted illnesses because of the fact that they've had more people coming to visit them, loving on them, things like that. You know, there's a will that you have to survive when you have, that sort of like level of care and love for other people, or that other people love you and support you. Like you're more than it's almost it's supernatural. You know that it's by God.
Every living thing is created for a relationship. Every living thing.
Absolutely.
Even plants.
Yep.
Like plants even have to pollinate
Yep.
to reproduce other plants. Like the fact that I need you, you need me for us to procreate.
Yeah.
Is that the fact that we have to do that shows that we need relationship.
Like there would be no more humans. Like
period.
I need you, you need
like
me.
We have to have some kind of relationship, period, just for life to be life.
Yeah, agreed.
Like that's probably like the definition of life.
Right,
so that's a form of toxic self-love where you just I'm just going to focus on myself. I wanted to hit on that too, where people be like, people do that out of bitterness. Like I'm just going to focus on myself and do it because of bad experiences.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And that's why that's what I definitely wanted to make sure that we hit on is how we all need to be able to see when a person is just broken, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of times when people say things like that, it's not because they're trying to necessarily push you away more than they're crying out for help.
Yeah.
They really are. And that's another thing that, I really wanted to make sure that we highlighted on this episode is self-love is so important. And like I said, the goal is to be able to understand or be able to be helpful or whatever to others. It's because we oftentimes lose how to deal with somebody else because we're so focused on ourselves.
Right.
But the point of focusing on yourself is not so that you can lose the other person. It's so that you can have the guidance on how to deal with the other person.
Preaching.
But how is it that remember how you said?
Because I'm guilty of that.
I know, because you said that to me, like you always say that, like you're different. And I'll be like, but I'm really not. Like I don't see myself as being different.
Yeah, you are.
What I do is, but it's gonna blow your mind. Because the reason why I treat people the way that I do is because I don't like a thing or I do like a thing.
I know 100. Everything we do has an element of selfishness.
But how are you able to, as a human being, forget that though?
What you mean?
How is it possible? And I know that this happens every single day of our lives, right? It's happening on social media every day. We pull down, we tear down each other every single day. Mm-hmm. But the biggest thing that we want is love. How is that possible? How is it possible that you could be so nasty to somebody or so unforgiving and ask for forgiveness?
Because you said something on another episode. It's because they want that that's the kind of connection that they identify with. They want that attention. Yeah. They just don't realize that it's so toxic.
Yeah, true.
Because they're just getting a need met.
Right, that's true.
It's not the most healthy way to get it met, and you're not aware that there's a better way, but it's feeling something that's there, something that's not. It's feeling something that's not there. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say this hurtful thing because I know you're going to respond to it with something. Really, I just want to argue.
Right. That's true.
This makes me feel better.
That's true. Okay. Yeah. I get it. And another thing I want to challenge all of you people who believe in the universe. If you believe in the universe, if the universe is what you say, you don't say God, you don't say Jesus, you don't say any of that, right? You subscribe to the universe. Then you have to believe in the checks and balances of the universe. And this is something that I'm obviously inferring because I don't really understand that, right? I believe in God, Christ. I believe in Jesus, But if you subscribe to the universe and you understand that there are checks and balances of the universe, how is it possible that you think that you're supposed to be the one that's the focus of the universe every single day? Honestly, like I want to know. Because these people be mad.
But you have, it's not just universe believers. You have Christians that believe that the world revolves around them.
So the sun and the moon revolve. Yeah. But think about it, guys. If we are here on this earth to be in relationship, how is it possible that you think that every day of your life, people are supposed to be respecting you? People are supposed to be, on top of their game to make sure that your day goes well.
God be checking me. You just said something a few minutes ago. God be checking me on that often.
Yeah.
Because when the thing I hate the most, right?
What's that?
That bothers me more than anything, and I don't care who it is. It could even be you. Mm-hmm. It'll like, whenever I'm like on my one-on-one, like when I'm really on my one-on-one with God, Like I'm there. You don't know that I'm there. Like you can't tell like, oh, he's in his zone with God because you don't know what's going on in my head or my whole person or anything.
Right.
But then you come and interrupt that with anything. It doesn't even have to be anything bad.
Right.
Like I could be down here just studying, praying, doing whatever, just worshiping, just talking to God, and you be like, AJ, can you do this? And I'm like,
yeah. Even if I say you want some food, even if it's something that, even if it's, I get it.
Anything. I'm be like, hey, young, why are you always calling me? And like,
yeah.
And it don't even be that situation, but it irritates me so much. And God had to check me. And he was like, fool, what you think you have this time with me just for you? Like you think I talk to you just for you? Like, are you the only person that's supposed to benefit off this relationship? Like, how dare you have that much pride to say that, no, you can't interact with nobody else.
Wow.
Because, he was like, what I have with you is something that a lot of other people don't have. And you're supposed to be able to share this. You're supposed to, like, how can you be with me like this and then in the same instance show a lack of love to the person that's standing right in front of you?
Exactly.
And I was like, dang, a joke.
Yes. And but this is, I mean, even taking the focus off of God, right? Because God is able to be omnipresent. He is omnipotent. He's everywhere at all times, talking to everybody, right? Because he can do that. We can't. But we don't even focus on the people who want to be focused on us. It bothers me that we can be like that. Like for real, like me coming to ask you for something. And this is not, I'm not like bagging on you or nothing, because I think I can be the same exact way. Like when my mind is focused on something and people keep interrupting me, I'm the same way. Like, bro, like what? You know? And it's like, why
for
you
no
gotta
reason.
do that?
Yeah.
Why you gotta, I was just asking you if you're okay.
Right.
But then
I got a situation with my mother. I swear my mother has like the worst timing
ever. I think all moms do.
Anybody, yeah.
Yeah, I think all moms do. Because I think their thing is like, you're my child, so like I can pretty
I
much
think she just be having like a connection. Like I know, like she gotta have a special type of watch that says
they absolutely
AJ is busy right now.
Let me make sure I call him.
Let me make sure I interrupt him. I swear she gotta have something. Like
that's hilarious.
Yeah. She has to have a AJ watch. Like he's busy.
Let me call him. Right.
Yeah.
She probably called you right now. No,
that's why I saw airplane mode. It's like,
don't do that. But I do feel like it's a practice, and that's one thing that we are so out of practice.
Yeah.
You know, really understanding that, like, you know, we are not here for ourselves. We're not put on this earth so that we can just have all this time with God and nothing and no one else. Like,
exactly.
We're
Nobody
literally
else benefits
on this
from it.
Right.
From us.
We're in relationship, and relationships, as we know, are difficult. They're work, right? And things are not going to always feel good. It's not possible for every day to be Darah's day.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it is though.
That's what I
in my life.
Yeah.
Right. But it looks like me acknowledging that there are other people on this earth who deserve love just as much as I do.
So see, that's something that most people have to learn, but that's something that's already in you. Like God has just graced you with a loving spirit. Like the fact you said that you love people just because they're human.
That's it.
I
don't need no qualifications.
I have a love. That's not why I love people.
Oh, okay.
Like I always just had a heart for people and everything, right? But I didn't always actively love everybody.
Gotcha.
I would only actively love selective people. You love people because they're human. I love people because I'm supposed to, because God said it. If God never said,
got it.
Yeah. I love people because I love God. If he was never like, look, you need to love on these people, I guarantee you I would not be doing it. Like the people who promise you. I promise you. And now,
but I mean, that's cool because I don't like everybody.
Yeah.
Like we said,
so the people that I don't like wouldn't be getting loved on.
Yeah. And I do understand that there is a very big difference between being like,
yes,
and then also
and
I understand the
loving.
levels of love too. I'm not in love with everybody either, but I do love everybody. And again, it's because of me understanding my place, right? I don't think that I'm better than anybody, and I don't think anybody is better than me.
Right.
You feel me? So in that, I can love on you because there is no qualification, because God hasn't asked me for anything. He's not asking me for my certificate. As a matter of fact, Thank God that he doesn't, right? Thank you, Lord, right? Because if it was a checklist, I'm not
You
going to
ain't gonna
make
make it.
it.
Yeah,
I'm
you can't
not.
fulfill it.
I'm at the bottom of the bottom. So
Yeah,
understanding that, then I can see my place in the world, and I can understand that that is the prerequisite, that you are a human being and I can love you. People love dogs more than they love humans.
yeah,
It's some people out here who are shitty
yeah.
to human beings,
And they love
and they
animals.
will
That's what
man
my man be saying.
watch a man get
He
slain in
love
the
animals.
street.
Yep.
But if that puppy get run over though, oh my god, I just can't.
Yep.
No, bro, like that's not.
You
That's not the
missing
way it
it.
goes.
You completely
And this
missing
is
it.
not to say that
Yeah.
I don't have a regard for animals, but my thing is somebody who literally has two arms. Sometimes they don't have two. You know what I mean? Eyes,
I
lips,
don't.
nose. I mean,
I don't have a
things
regard
that
for
you
animals.
have.
I don't care what people say. I don't have a regard for animals.
Well, I mean, they're a living
When it comes
thing.
when it comes to humans, no, I
right,
don't.
right. So the
I
balance.
would
I get what
shoot
you're saying.
my dog. I would shoot and kill my
protect.
dog to protect a complete stranger.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not going to be like, hey, stop.
Right.
I'll
Yes.
kill this little nigga.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, I get it. I totally get that. So you're basically,
I don't
understanding.
value nothing else, nothing on this earth more than I value human beings.
Got it.
Because
I think
he
that's
ain't
okay.
make an ostrich in his image.
No, he didn't.
You know what I'm saying? He didn't make a tree in his image. He actually.
But I do still feel like we have the regard for it because Adam was given dominion over everything.
Exactly.
He was able to.
So
name.
they have a regard for me.
Right. I understand.
They obey me, not
right. Not the other
not
way
me.
around.
It. So if I want to kill you, I have the right to kill it.
Got it.
So,
Yeah. So, it was something else that. Okay, so let's talk about how self-love shows up as toxic.
that's what we were just doing, wasn't it?
But like, just things that you've seen, like any specifics.
All right, so, I don't want to point out women's because I don't want to be that guy. But I can't think
but
about
this is
anything
how-
for
this is-
men.
This is when you get good podcasting. You want people to be like, "How dare he say that?" Come on.
Okay, so when women be like, I'm focusing on myself, blah blah blah, this and that, and focusing on my career, and you're neglecting the love of man and everything, probably because you've been hurt or whatever, or you just feel like I want to have all this established before I. Next thing you know, you 45, 50 years old with no kids, yearning for the comfort of a man, and you got everything you ever wanted except that. And you thought that, it was self-love. You was taking care of yourself all this time. And granted, you was to the fact where you never needed anything. But now the things that's most important, you don't have.
And to like the adverse response to that would be the man or the boy who stays with the same group of 3 friends who are giving him the complete wrong information.
Yeah.
And he has like 10 kids by 9 different women. You know what I mean? But he still stays in that same pocket of comfort, and he never ends up finding a love of his own. He never finds his queen.
Right.
So these
He
are
never
the same.
he never even finds better.
He doesn't even know himself.
Yeah.
How about that?
That's why I
But he
started
don't
with the
want nobody to
accountability
hold
piece.
him to the fire.
Yeah.
He don't have no real men in his life.
Right.
But he don't want it.
Some men
So-
don't even know that they don't have real men in their life because they grew up with the hood dudes in the hood, and they stayed with the dudes in the hood. They still 33 years old, and the dudes in the hood still have the hood mentality thinking. And because we homies, we always been homies, we love each other, none of us grew to a newer level or a higher level of manhood. But because we got this love for each other, I know I'm not going to be let down by you.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
So I had a debate with my ex about that because I was telling him it's never a time when God hasn't presented a man in your life, even being a hood
you
dude
rejected
with
it.
2 friends.
Yeah.
Yes, and he was trying to justify to me that like that's just how guys are. Like if you don't find, and I'm sure that there is justification there. I'm sure he was absolutely right. But what I was saying was like my whole point wasn't necessarily that you don't have to have the respect, but if you don't know the man at all, who's to say that? Who are you to say like he ain't talking about nothing, like he ain't got nothing to add to my life, and then turn around and go back to this comfort level, this comfort pocket again? You're never going to learn anything. There's not going to be any growth. There's no pruning that's happening. But I noticed that there are a lot of men
Because you're comfortable
or
there.
boys, and I use that very cavalierly, but there are a lot of boys,
Say it.
guys.
This gonna ruffle some feathers. Say it.
Oh, I'm
'Cause
absolutely
I'm
sure.
gonna make this a clip and I'm gonna post it. It's a
Yeah,
lot of
but
boys
there-
that what? Go ahead.
who reject those men,
Mm-hmm.
those guys who are standing on 10 toes down, telling you like that ain't it.
Yeah.
You gotta
ain't
know.
on
It's a
man
lot of
time.
people who came to that church
Yeah.
and was listening to ET and was like had their arms folded because they like this nigga ain't gonna be able to tell me nothing because they don't want to hear it.
Nah, the thing is, the guys at that church want better. They already know
But no,
he's gonna bring
somebody
Somebody was dragged
Yeah.
there.
That's
and
what I'm
didn't want
just.
it. Yeah.
It's always that, right? And that's
Yeah.
I guess that's what I'm getting at, right? It's not that God doesn't allow you a way out. He doesn't
Yeah.
send all of these rafts, send all of these helicopters and all. You know what I mean? He sends people to be in your life to create that level of
And
pruning.
you reject them.
And you reject it.
Yeah. Any man that says that, because I used to be that guy. You just don't. You're just immature. You don't want to grow up.
Yes.
I grew up in the hood, so my whole perspective just of life and relationships with people, particularly men or males, was if you're not from here, I don't mess with you. I didn't mess with all the dudes that was in my neighborhood. I got certain dudes that I'm just tight with. Like, these is my homies. I got love for everybody, but these is my homies. These is dudes that I consider brothers.
Is that the
So-
loyalty aspect?
Nah, because I've never been loyal to people. I've always been loyal to what's right. That's just always been my perspective. Wrong is wrong, right is right. Like, even with myself, like, I'm loyal to what's right with myself. If I do wrong, I'm not gonna justify my wrong.
Right,
I'm gonna say I was wrong, but this is what's right. And my all my homies will tell you, like, nah, Slim stern with it. He might do wrong, but he still stand on this. Like, we did wrong things together, but they know that I don't agree with it.
Right.
They know that I'm like, you my homie, I'm gonna ride with you because you my dog. Like, and I'm feeling the
that's not
same way
considered
too.
loyalty, though?
But it's wrong. Huh?
That's not considered loyalty that you would do it just because they're your dog.
So I would do it because I felt a certain way about it too.
Okay.
So I can't go into details
No,
about
I
certain
mean,
things,
yeah, that's
but
fine.
I felt a certain way about it too. But I still believe that it's wrong. You still gonna know it's wrong, and I'm not gonna repeat this.
Oh, okay.
So it's been
Like you made your choice.
yeah.
Everybody gets a choice. So you
Every-
made your choice based off of what you.
In that time,
yeah.
I was in my feelings and everything. I made a
got
lot
it.
of decisions,
But you knew it was wrong.
but I knew it was wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think we
and
all
I'm
do
not putting
that.
myself back in that
Or have done
in those
that.
positions. Yeah, but there became a time when I became a man, when I started walking in manhood, when I wanted better for myself. That when greater men came into my life, presented themselves to me, I accepted it. I made this was acceptable to me. Like, I seen this and I realized, shoot, I'm missing it. This is where I'm missing it. I might got them in some areas, they might got me in some areas, but I know the areas where I'm not. I shared with you before we started this. I know the areas where I feel I'm not a whole man in, and if this guy can help me get there, this is who I want to hang around. This is who I want to be with.
Right.
Like, and this is no thing against my homies, my neighborhood homies, but if you not elevating to a level above me, I'm not saying I don't mess with you, but I'm saying I can't keep spending so much time with you and everything. I can't always hang out with you. I ain't got really too much phone time for you and everything because you're not catering, and it's not about me. It's not about what you can give me, but you're not even trying to take yourself to the next level. So I'm not getting nothing from you, and I can't pour into you because you ain't trying to go there. So what are we really doing?
Yeah.
But see, I'm not trying to hang with you because I'm comfortable with you. I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to
Right.
take
What is
myself
that,
somewhere too.
Saying that if you're the smartest one in your circle, you need a new circle.
Need a new circle, yeah.
Yeah. So we oftentimes we just get comfortable, like you said. We just get real.
Yeah.
Like, I just want people to tell me, like, how I'm okay, how I'm good, and all this other stuff.
Nah, but that's right when you saying that's BS talking about that's not how men operate. Nah, it's not how boys operate.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if you don't want to deal with somebody else, you saying it's plenty of men out here. When
Plenty.
I could think back right now to when I was a youngin', there were stand-up men that was around.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't press themselves into my life, but they was around. And I did not open up to them. And I knew, like, this is straight shooter, but I wasn't living that life to where I wanted to be a straight shooter. So I wasn't allowing myself to really be around them like that. Like, we wasn't on the same type of time. Like, if you got a man who 30, 35, 40 years old and you still talking this nonsense, like, why even deal with this joker?
Right.
Like, he ain't trying to elevate himself. He think he there. Any nigga that already think he there ain't there. That's somebody you don't want to deal with.
I'm sorry, y'all. I had to clap on that one. No, you.
There's
right,
always
though.
somebody. There's always somebody greater.
First of all, you can't trust somebody who thinks they've arrived.
Nah.
Like, you just can't. In life, I'm sorry, y'all. Like, fight me. But anybody who professes that they like, well, I mean, I got everything I need. Da 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 da. Nah, bro. Like, I don't trust you.
You missing it.
Yeah, I don't trust you.
You missing it.
Because we all are. We supposed to be in a constant state of growth and understanding and knowledge and all this other stuff. Because again, it's about relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're meeting new people, how is it possible that you have everything that you need right now?
It's no way. It's no way possible.
Exactly. You're gonna go through seasons. You're gonna go through
there.
storms, like all types of things. It's not possible that you've already arrived at where you're gonna be for the rest of your life.
Man, I tell people all the time. Now I'll be like, if you think you humble, you're not.
That part, yes.
Because there's always a newer level. There's always a deeper level of humility. There's always a higher level of growth. Like, nobody could think they're there because, for one, God is infinite. We cannot even grasp like a capacity. Like, we can't say that.
Nope.
Like, all this is God, because we don't even know what all this is.
Nope.
And so if the Spirit of God is to dwell in us, and He is infinite in all His ways and everything, how in the hell can you possibly think that you got it, that you there?
Exactly.
Because as soon as you reach this level, like, how much money is too much money?
Exactly. I couldn't give you a value.
Because it ain't no such thing as too much.
Exactly.
It's no such thing as, like, I've got there, because there's always more. Like, as long you think that you reach the level of top dog in manhood, I guarantee you're going to run into another dude that you're going to look at, and he going to challenge you and show you that you ain't there.
That's it.
I guarantee you.
And even you being content and being in that place is a very, very, like, blaring red flag.
Yeah. There is no best.
Red.
There is no best in this world.
No. Agreed.
Like, there is no number one in this world.
Because God is an infinite source, like you said.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're thinking about sources, right? Even if we think about, like, where you plug in something, if He's an infinite source, there are literally just not enough plugs or anything that you can. I mean, come on.
There's exactly.
Yeah.
You can't. There's no way that you can draw all of it.
Nothing. No way.
So
glory be to God, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. For just, like, showing us how we are supposed to be here with one another. And, just even, like, this podcast, like, it's just so beautiful to me because I am, like, literally learning so much. And just being able to, like, I'm very much a person who is about, chewing the meat and spitting out the bones. Mm-hmm. I'd be more susceptible to talking to anybody. It doesn't mean that I'm going to receive or take home with me or carry, everything with me. Yeah. But I am more susceptible to having a conversation with somebody who has a differing opinion or, something that I never even thought of. Yeah. And I won't be like, unless it has something to do with the devil, you know what I mean? Because there's really nothing that I need to hear about the devil, right? But even with that, like, I feel like, knowing signs are important too, right? Of things that are devilish behavior, things that are satanic and so forth and so on. I would like to be able to, know, no, that ain't it. You know what I mean? That's not right for me.
Yeah, you missing it, buddy. That's
right.
A little off there.
Right. But I think that, as far as, like, the humility piece and things like that, like, I was just going to say while you were talking, somebody just told me that I need to be more humble this past week. And it just kind of, like, cracked my face. But I was grateful that they said it because you don't know how people see you until they tell you. And sometimes it don't be what you think it's going to be, right? But again, the things that penetrate are oftentimes things that God wants you to hear, the things that you, that hang on, that cling on. Because a lot of stuff, we get, especially you and I, people say things to us and we just, what ways? I don't even remember, girl.
Nah,
it wasn't important.
I take all of it.
But sometimes you don't take everything.
No, I consider all of it.
Oh,
it might not penetrate, But
Yeah,
I
but I'm talking
consider
about
all
that
of it.
stuff that
Yeah.
really like gets in and like you have to think about it. Like that
Yeah.
really got to me. And so I was like, okay, well then this is something that I'm going
To deal
to
with.
really, yes, I'm going
Yeah.
to really have to sit with. But again, I do feel like things like that happen, like where somebody does get to you because you are supposed to grow.
Yeah.
And just to bring it all back, you're supposed to then sit with yourself and, do create that level of self-love
Yeah.
so that you can become better for other people. So if I don't have a level of humility, there are just some people that I'm not going to be able to reach.
You know that's like a rhetorical statement.
What's that?
Like you need to be more humble. Mm-hmm. So like if ever
Humble
somebody
yourself.
if ever somebody tells you that, 100% of the time it's true. Regardless, even if they're saying it like trying to be evil,
Yep.
even if they're saying that with negative intentions, it's 100% of the time true.
Yep.
Because if your thought, even if you don't verbally say it, if your thought is like, what are you talking about? Like, how have I not been up? That's pride right there.
Yep. Yep.
Like that response right there, even that thought was just had a hint of pride that just blossomed.
Right.
Because now you're saying like what you're unconsciously saying is I am humble.
Exactly.
Like there is
And
no more humble than this.
There's no humility
Yeah.
in I am humble.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's why, and that's the reason why I kind of brought it up too, because of the fact that like, you again, it's allowing for me to understand something more about me
Yeah.
so that I can be better for other people. Again, remember we talked about, I was saying the Chinese and the Russian. I can only even really be able to speak to you once I reach a level of humility.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be able to, you know what I mean? And then seeing myself in the way that person saw me, it allowed for me to be able to be like, okay, something has to be tweaked. Yeah. And not, again, like you say, even if they were being a jerk, even if they, were trying to be harmful, which that wasn't the case, there's something that I have to learn from that because of the fact that it made me feel a way.
Yeah.
See, God doesn't, I feel like God, he puts certain things and certain people in your life at certain times too, because it could have been a Thursday or a Tuesday and I would have been like, girl, you're so crazy. You know what I mean? But it was that day, and it was a day when I was very vulnerable. It was a day when I was wide open. I was feeling, there we go. Let's bring it back. I was working in my feminine, yes. Literally broke down, bro.
Yeah.
And I was like, this needed to happen.
Yeah.
Like this powerful. This needed to, I
That's
needed
powerful.
to be broken down. This had to be said on this day. And how sometimes like you go through something and you like, God, like right now, Lord, like right now for real.
Yeah.
Like could anything else bad happen? And it's like, yep. Like,
question.
And that's
answered.
exactly how it felt. And it was like, but now that I'm looking back on it, was like, oh, because I wouldn't have felt it any other day.
That's exactly what he did with Job. Remember, all this stuff happened to Job, right? And he still honored God.
Yep.
And everybody looks at Job like, because in the beginning they said Job was a perfect man, right?
Yep.
And everybody look at Job like, even when all these things happened to Job, he still honored God.
Yes.
But then Job said, curse the day I've been born. Like, curse should have been the day that I was born. Basically saying like, why am I even born if I was going to have to go through this thing?
Yeah.
If I was going to have to go through all of this. Like, it'd have been better if I had just not been born.
Yeah.
And then God told him, all right, now gird yourself on up, stand like a man and get ready to take what I'm about to give to you. Because you thought in your pride, Job was a humble dude if anybody else was to look
by
at him.
any other measure, yeah.
Because in your pride, you said it would have been better for you to not have been born than for you to have to go through all that you're going through.
Watch
but
this.
Let me ask you this now: where was you when I separated the heavens from the earth or whatever?
Yeah.
God went through like freaking 7 chapters or something of just like checking Job because of his pride. But when we look at it, we would have been like, man, this dude was humble, and he even compared him to Leviathan. He brought up the Leviathan, the dragon in the sea or whatever, and he said, what man can basically catch this thing. Like what rod and reel you can go out to catch the Leviathan. How could you tame this thing? What could you do to tame this thing? Like basically saying like this thing is greater than all men. Like you can't do nothing with this thing. And it says he is the king of pride, and he was comparing him to that, and that one little sentiment Job had. That's why I said, if you think you humble, you not. The moment you think you humble, you not.
You just ain't.
And and just that same situation. That's what made me think of Job. Like, even though he was so humble, and even he wasn't talking in pride like I'm big and bad. He was talking. It was pride to think that you knew better than God.
Right.
To say that I shouldn't even have been born is making you think that you knew better than God. Like, because you're trying to say that this should never happen when it did happen.
Yeah.
And God's like, I allowed this to happen. So who are you to say that this shouldn't have happened? And so I'm like,
wow, that's heavy.
I know. Never even planned on going there.
That's all right, honey. I needed to hear that. I needed to hear it. But yeah, so this is where God wanted us to go with this self-love thing. Did you have anything more to add to that?
I got a lot more to add, because but we ain't going. We don't have to hit all this though.
We can.
But since we already talking about God, like when he's talking about self-love, I was like, 100. For one, I believe it 100% depends on your perspective of what love is and what self-love is.
Absolutely.
And so we went through quite a bit of what self-love should be, and some of what a lot of people think self-love is. Like, Jay, taking care of you. Like for me, like just on a shallow level, self-love is like doing my night rides to get my mental ready. Some women, get massages, like you said, might get massages, get your nails done. And I believe that those are all essential things of self-love. Like I agree with Dion. Say he's like, if you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you play good.
Yeah.
He said if you play good, they pay good.
Yeah.
And so all of this
facts.
Yeah. So really, self-love, when you're doing it effectively and everything, it helps yield results that you never even may have considered, because when you take care of yourself and you feel good, it goes all the way to they pay good. And I'm not even just saying like financially. It doesn't even have to be a financial thing. But when you don't love yourself, you show me how to treat you.
Right. So
like think about it. Like if a dude or a woman, I'll say a woman because we're appearance based initially, right? And even y'all are also, when you're looking at other girls, you see another girl and nails all bit up like she chew on her nails, never have her hair done or anything, like underarms be stinking and all that. Like she's just hygienically, she's not taking care of herself and her appearance and everything, right? You feel you're not loving on yourself enough to keep yourself up. It's going to make me look at you as, I don't want to say as less, but you basically showing me like, I'm not going to treat you, we should do this, but the average person is not going to treat you like the person they see that comes out of the Capital One corporate office with the nice suit. They're going to have a different level of respect for that person than they have for you. So when you're not taking care of yourself, it's like you're teaching me how to treat you also.
Wow, yeah.
If that make any sense.
It makes perfect sense. Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate that has to be the way that things are, but you're right. Like I tell people all the time, they don't pay me the big bucks because you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover. Like I love how people say that, right? Like don't judge a book by its cover. You never know, if you're entertaining angels. I get that, right? That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
but in this society, they're judging you by your cover.
100%.
Like even guys that come in, they're like, yeah, people do treat me different when I got a fresh haircut.
100%.
Absolutely.
I used to be that guy, like not tripping. Like you be like, you do for a cut, and I'd be like, I ain't really worried about it.
Yes, I know.
They gonna love me for me. If they gonna like me, they gonna like me for me.
Yep. I still have a guy that I battle with every 6 months that he comes in.
Every 6 months?
Yep. And I still have my conversation the same way. And it's not that I'm trying to change him or anything like that. I'm just presenting something to him that maybe he hadn't considered. Because obviously we think, again, if it matters to me, then that's all that matters. But it's not. Yeah. God did not put you here so that you could
for
be
yourself.
Like, that's all.
Yeah,
it only matters to me that you got this, whatever sitting on your head. Like, yes, you are supposed to feel comfortable with yourself, but you're not showing me that you feel comfortable with yourself.
Yeah, you're not stewarding your own body well.
Thank you.
Especially if that's supposed to be a temple of God. Like, God doesn't want to live in something that just makes him look bad.
Thank you.
That makes
because
him look
when
ugly.
I think about God, I think about beauty. What do you think about?
I think about perfection.
I think about light.
Yeah. Holiness.
If it's a whole bunch of hair on top of that light, it's darkness.
Oh, what you saying?
I'm just playing.
I got a whole bunch of hair.
No, I'm
not
playing.
a whole bunch. It's almost a whole bunch.
But it's done.
But yeah.
So anyway.
And so I wanted to talk about, just hit on this a little bit, suicide.
Okay.
So how do you relate self-love with people that are depressed
Suicidal.
and might commit? Yeah.
Very heavy subject. We actually were. This is the second time suicide has been brought up today. So maybe God wants me to like sit with that. I think that they are directly reflect. I mean, I think that they directly relate.
Right.
I don't think that somebody who takes themselves out of this earth or off of this earth is really in tune with self-love.
Mm-hmm.
A bigger point, right? So I'm going to start high and then I'm going to come down. The bigger point is, because we are made in the image of God, loving yourself is you loving God, right? Mm-hmm. Because you're created by God. So there's a reverence that you even have for yourself, mm-hmm. Or there's a reverence that you have for God by loving yourself because he's who created you, right?
All right, hold up. Pause right there.
Okay.
So excuse me, Yahushua told us to love your neighbor
as you love yourself.
As you love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So you can tell who truly loves themselves
by the way they love others.
By the way they love and treat others. That's
part.
why I said you could tell that Tabitha loves
really,
herself.
Yes.
But people that treat others like trash,
mm-hmm.
I don't care how good they smell, how good they look, that it's a self-love issue in there.
Yes, and that's really like something that I always have to like remind people, like when they are attacked by somebody else. It doesn't feel good, obviously, but I just be like, that's a character issue. Yeah, something's happening within them. Mm-hmm. Like when people don't speak, child, I don't be trying to go out my way to get people to speak to me.
Nah.
If I say I love you and somebody don't say it back, and it don't have nothing to do with me. I said I love you.
Right.
I'm not saying that so you can say it back to me.
Right.
But anyway, but going back to suicide, I think that's a great way to start, because there is a level of darkness that you get to when you are ready to pluck yourself off of this earth. When you literally say, again, that going back to the Job story, him saying that, maybe he just shouldn't have been born.
Yeah.
This is literally where people who take themselves out, like, and have suicidal thoughts. Like, I've been there before, right? Mm-hmm. I have never wanted to commit suicide, right? But I definitely had, and I'm not trying to be funny when I say this. It's going to sound like funny, but I said, if I were to walk outside and a bus hit me, like, I wouldn't be mad. Like, if I literally went outside,
I felt like that before. A bus hit me, I ain't never want to go by a bus, but
and I died, like, I would not be mad, because I would be able to cut my life right there, right? Yeah. Because I did, but the reality of it is, I did not want to face the next day.
Yeah, I've been there.
Right, because there was something that I was hiding that I didn't want to be honest about to the people around me.
Yeah.
But one thing my mother said was, the reason why you go into depression and things like that is because you don't want to face what's happening, what's real, what's actually going on. Mm-hmm. You don't want to face the realities. You don't want to face what is. That's what she says. But she said the thing that you're missing, though, is that the sun continues to rise. People still wake up. They go do their jobs. Mm-hmm. You come out of your depression, honey, people have gone. Like, people are doing their thing. They're gone. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so I thought about that, and I was like, whoa, like, you're absolutely right. And I just so happened to be going through my depression when I was at Howard, when I was supposed to be graduating. I knew I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah. And
it was because of other things. I had a trauma. I experienced a trauma, and this all came back to me. But I experienced a trauma between my junior, I believe it was my junior. No. I think it was my junior and senior year.
Yeah.
Yes. And I internalized it because I didn't have anybody to really talk to about it. And I thought it was my fault. But instead of dealing with that trauma or having, the counseling or whatever, I internalized it. And then I start hurting other people, and I start doing things like not going to class. And it started off with me not going to class one day. Yeah. Then it started off with me not, saying, okay, I'll just try next week. Because, you have the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and you have the Tuesday and Thursday classes. So if you don't go Monday, you can be like, all right, I'm going to just go on Wednesday. But you don't go to your Tuesday class, you're like, I'm going to go on Thursday. Then you're like, well, it's Wednesday. And I ain't gonna go today, so I'm just not gonna go for the rest of the week. I'll just go next week. and then it turns into months, and then you don't have anything on your
Yeah.
transcript, and then and then you don't graduate, and then you have to tell your parents that you're not going to graduate. So
Yeah.
it's almost like you're just building all
Piling
of these
on.
lies.
Piling on.
Yes, and that's literally I think what happens,
And you're under it. And so it's heavy on you.
It's
and
very
it's even hard to
heavy.
get. Yeah.
Because again, you're not shining that light on that darkness.
Right.
See, you break up darkness with light, and light is truth. Light is God. You understand? So if you holding on to that stuff and you in the darkness and you just being way down and way down and way down, you're literally just, and God doesn't leave you. He never leaves you. He allows all of these people, because there was plenty of people who was asking me like, you okay? Like I was wearing these scarves and stuff that, remember back in the day when it was like the neo soul time. So people was wearing that like music soul child look with the bun in the back.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my friends was like, girl, you was giving like cancer patient. Like, I'm not trying to be funny, but are you okay? Like, did your hair break off or something? Like, she literally wanted to know because she was like, something's not right with you. And I would just be like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Not really knowing what was going on with me.
Yeah.
But not really being ready to shed the light on it. Because again, I'm seeing them flourishing. And I'm like, I really don't think that I'm even enough to, again, self-love. I don't think that my stuff would even be important to them.
Yeah.
Why would they want to know what's going on with me? Why would that be something that they want to bother themselves with? Even though they sat there and they asked me for me to go down that rabbit hole and really give them what's really going on with me.
Yeah.
They're not gonna want to hear that. They got their own stuff. I'm just,
I know.
So that's how you get into that whole suicidal thing, is because of the fact that you don't see that light. You don't have that self-love. There is no, like, you almost disconnect from God. You disconnect though.
I know, almost. Yeah.
You do. Yeah, you do can disconnect from God.
You do.
God don't disconnect from you.
Yeah.
You disconnect from God. I wasn't praying.
Yeah, God is gentle. He ain't gonna force nothing on you.
Yeah.
He'll never leave you.
No.
Look, you might close the door on him, but he's still outside that door waiting on you.
Yes, that part.
Yeah.
That part. I mean, the way that I kind of came out of it, my cousin sent the police to my house for a wellness check. Literally, I mean.
That's these are mics.
And I said, I'm sorry, y'all.
I know you real. You was feeling it. I know you.
But that's how hard I wanted them to be able to hear. Like, that's how hard the knock was.
Yeah.
So I come downstairs. Now, mind you, they had been calling me all day, and I just didn't want to talk. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to stay in my darkness. Like, I had started to become very comfortable in my darkness.
Thank God she called the police.
Thank God she called the police, because it literally made me
We probably wouldn't
snap.
be doing this today.
Probably wouldn't be doing it. But not because I was going to like take a bunch of pills or like hang myself or anything like that, but because I did not have any regard for my life at that point.
Yeah.
Like, I literally like could have wasted away and just to not deal with the stuff that I was dealing with. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's tough, and I hope I answered your question, but but you disconnect.
I think spiritually you have to have some kind of spirituality, some kind of spiritual connection in order to like effectively, love yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the reason being is, because I said this last episode, you got to have some kind of foundation. You have to have something to go back to. You have to have something to go back to show you that you're worth loving.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, to know, because it's not, hell ain't what draw people to God.
No.
Like, I wasn't scared to go to hell. That's not what made me want to build a relationship with God. It was the forgiveness and the love that draw me to God. Like, you're still able, when he did that through my mother, you're still able to love me even through all the hurt that I've put you through. And you're still willing to forgive me. It shows me, like, I didn't feel like I was worth. I checked out of life at one point, twice. Before Christ, I checked out of life. I was like, it's going to be what it's going to be. This was about to happen. This was going down. I already was like, I might not make it out of this year. It is what it is. I wrote myself off. So my self-love was on zero. I ain't care about nothing. But he was showing me, like, you are worth loving. You are still worth loving, and there are people that still love you and will still do for you. That's what really got me back on track. That's what got me with God. Yeah. And so because I'm worth loving to him, I should be worth loving to myself.
Yes. Amen.
And so it gives me that foundation, that I don't forget. Like, even when I treat myself badly, he still treats me good.
Yeah.
And so I have to be reminding myself, like, dude, you ain't. Even when I mess up, even when I fall in areas, like, I be asking God for forgiveness for like 37 times.
Yeah.
And he be like, how many times you gonna ask me?
Yeah.
Like, I forgave you after the first one. Your problem isn't that you don't believe that I forgave you. Your problem is that you're not loving yourself enough to forgive yourself.
Yep. Forgive yourself. And who are you to not forgive you?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what got me
You're
right.
more powerful than God to not forgive yourself.
Like, so you're going to ask me for forgiveness, but then you're going to tell yourself you're not going to forgive. Nah, that ain't how it works.
Who are you, me?
Right.
You think you are.
That's humility.
You ever seen the movie The Sunset Limited?
No.
You got to watch that, John.
Okay, why?
It's based on a play, I think. But it's a movie it's a great movie. Like, it's vicious how they did that. Samuel Jackson and Tommy Lee Jones. So Samuel Jackson is a Christian man, reformed Christian man. Tommy Lee Jones is agnostic or atheist. He's one of them. Either he questions or he just don't believe straight up. Well, I think he was atheist. He just don't believe straight up. Right. But I think he might have been agnostic. But he wants to commit suicide. So he wants the Sunset Limited is the train. He was going to jump in front of the train and kill himself, but Samuel Jackson saved him.
Oh, wow.
You don't see this, but you find out that this is what happened throughout the movie, because the movie starts in Samuel Jackson's apartment and he's talking to Tommy Lee Jones. And he's like, why? He's basically asking him why. And when you look at it, he did not have self-love. He's a college professor. He had all this knowledge and everything, and he placed his values and love in everything else, like art and knowledge about this. Things that was outside of him, he placed all his love and all his value in, but then those things came to nothing. So all those things lost value, and he found no reason to live anymore.
Wow.
Because he had no love. He had no understanding, no love of self. He placed all his love and everything that he valued. He had no value of himself. He placed it all on outside things.
Yeah, which are going to go away.
Which are going to, even with people.
Right, but even with us, like, but that's one thing that my mom has always taught us is about impermanence, right? She said, as soon as sure something has that you get something, it will go away.
It will go away, yeah.
But including our bodies. But one thing is the everlasting is our souls, right? And who God is. That can be your foundation. 100%. That's that. You can build your rocks.
Yeah.
You can build everything on God. Because you know that, like, this microphone, these nails, this jewelry, all of that stuff is going to waste away. This body is going to waste away. So how can I how can I place emphasis in any of these things?
Right.
But somebody like God, right? Loving me, right? Like, having so much grace and so much mercy, like, I can come before God and literally lay everything bare, and then he can forgive me and love me and, like, welcome me. That's, man,
and pick me about it this mess. It is.
Like, that's enough for me.
That's why I said you got to have some kind of spiritual foundation. You have to have that in order to even really effectively love yourself to the best of your ability, to what's necessary, to what's needed 100% for life on this earth.
Agreed.
For interaction with other people and for the sake of relationship.
Agreed.
So can self-love be toxic?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. But only without God, without an understanding or true understanding of who God is.
Right.
And how he wants us here to relate to one another.
Is self-love necessary?
Absolutely.
So it's both. It can be toxic.
And it can be toxic.
And it's necessary. It's all how you do it.
I was going to say, but I think that's with anything. You do in excess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you can overdo it.
Right. Self-love can't become, what's it called?
Your only love.
Yeah. It can't be
your
what's,
God.
Boom. There you go. You can't say self-love, everything else. It's like saying me, everything else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're not here. You're not an island.
Not at all.
Yep. Peninsula, maybe. You supposed to finish?
I'm supposed to finish what? I don't know that. What's
you
that?
You do know that.
What?
Give up all this pussycat that's in my lap, no looking back, spaceships.
Oh, don't come equipped with rearview mirrors. They dip.
Yeah. I'm
You
so
funny.
like a pip. I'm glad it's night. Okay, so our next topic.
There you go. You got that one right.
I did.
All right, so it's, are we effectively recognizing each other's strengths and weaknesses?
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, it's just a turn.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, write that down.
And I like how we wrapped Andre 3000 and then went into the studio Doublelicious.
Yo, you did that on purpose.
No.
I thought you was tactful. I thought you was like, I'm gonna do this and then go here with it.
Nah, I didn't. It made me think about it. That was a song that was in my head with what you said. So that's why I was like, you're gonna finish the verse.
Oh.
But you let me down. It's okay.
I ain't let you not finish it. You just had to remind me.
I recognize your strengths and your weaknesses.
Oh.
But no, thank you guys for tuning in for another episode of Deep Skydiving. You can reach us at Deep Skydiving Podcast at gmail.com. Also on our social media platforms, which have the same name, correct?
Deep Skydiving Podcast. Yes.
We are
TikTok and Instagram.
Yep, TikTok and Instagram. Please, all your comments, any suggestions, send them over. We are here to receive and to argue if we need to, because we're going to stand on ours. But no, in the meantime, guys, make it work.
Excuse me. Yeah, we definitely want to hear y'all perspectives also. Want to hear y'all perspectives. Want to know what you think and whatever else. So yeah, like she said, make it work.
We love y'all.
And we love y'all.
Peace.
Deuces.